The following podcast contains spoilers for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You have been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel Megusto.
Charmed, I'm sure.
I'm sure you are.
Yes, how are you doing, Glenjamin?
I got a question. Does the room sound a little bit better now?
It does. It sounds like there's things in it.
There's
and
things.
It's not
That's
just,
right.
It's just sound waves reverberating off the walls. It's just, it's nice and crisp.
I got a washer and dryer across the hallway, but other than that, it's almost completely fine.
Don't do laundry when we're recording. That's like my last place, since I was in the basement, had the laundry right next to my computer. But
Yeah, well, luckily, this should be the last time I'll be in a weird position as far as recording goes, but I'm trying to finish up the room where I'll be recording in the future. Just coming along one little bit at a time.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes.
Moving's going great, guys. Don't worry.
That's great. I'm glad. I know you've been pretty busy, so I don't expect much from this question.
Oh?
But since you've been moving, have you seen any movies worthy of discussing?
Would you believe I said I went out of my way to go watch a movie?
I would, because now I remember which one it is.
Well, I was going to pick up some screws from Regal because I'm a maintenance guy at Regal. And so I'm like, let me go get some screws because I work there. They're my screws. And I need them for screwing things into things. But I was like, holy shit, while I'm there, I might as well kind of see a movie because I got nothing else to do. I don't have internet. So I went to go see the Dragon Ball superhero movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. More or less Dragon Ball Z because this super stuff is kind of it's just a lot anymore, and there's just so many different color hairs and now that it's hard to keep up, and you wouldn't understand, Mike, but as a fan of this, it's like seeing your baby turn blue and then purple and then red and then green and then it's a lot. I was actually debating whether or not I wanted to do a 60-second movie review, but I would go on from a tangent much longer than 60 seconds.
That'd be funny if you started as a 60-second review and then you just kept going with the timer off.
But it was better than I thought it was going to be.
That's good.
A lot of people don't want to see it because it's kind of like more of a CGI film instead of animation, like hand-drawn animation. And it is distracting for parts, but when it starts getting into the fights and stuff is when they actually do hand-drawn stuff compared to the CGI. So it's not as distracting once that happens. But even so, it wasn't bad as far as it goes. Do I wish they had the animation of Dragon Ball Z? Absolutely. Is it okay if they don't? Absolutely. Was this movie as good as the last movie? Absolutely not. But other than that, we saw Beast together. We did not do a review for it this time.
We did not. We were going to, and then I realized that you had hinted that you wanted to skip this week, but I didn't pick up on that until I was already on my way to the theater. So then I was like, you know what? Okay. We could just chill and watch this movie and not worry about a review.
And what's crazy is now we can review it now.
Yes.
Yeah, or once we get to your list, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when that happens.
But I end my turn with saying, other than that, I watched 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Anyway, I watched 11 movies, 4 of which were in the past 3 days, which, normally we record on a Monday. We're recording on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Wednesday now. So, that explains why it's a little bit extra. The first movie I watched, there was a rewatch. All Quiet on the Western Front, which is part of the 1001 movies you must see before you die. That is going to be part of the September episode. I'm trying to get ahead because my September is crazy, so I'm trying to get September done now and then be ahead in October. So yeah, that's going to be September. But then I rewatched Cars. First time I've seen it since it was in theaters. Decided to put it on to entertain my boy, my son. Still mediocre, subpar, and not good. In my
Tell
opinion,
me, Ka-Chow didn't save the whole movie.
It did not. It's definitely. I get why like kids like it, but also Pixar is best when they're not pandering 100% to kids.
Amen.
That's my personal opinion, at least. Then I rewatched Nope because my uncle was in town and he wanted to see it, and it was the last day I got to see him. So we saw Nope, and he got scared and went, "Whoa!" in the middle of a theater. So that was fun.
Love him for that.
Yeah, he does that like every time we see a movie and something shocks him. It's hilarious. But yeah, so also surprising amount of British people in that theater. There's probably about 25 people, 18 of which were British.
Oh, wow.
In Oaks, Pennsylvania, which is in the middle, not in the middle of nowhere, but like it's far enough from anything touristy where you're just like, what?
Yeah.
So
what are you doing here, chap?
yeah, but yeah, they were all like, I love going to the cinema, and this is my favorite movie I've seen in the cinema this week.
Can't believe how good it was.
I apologize to the entire island of Britain and England and all that. So anyone that speaks with that accent that I was trying to imitate, I'm sorry. But Nope is great. We have a review for that on our YouTube, but you should check it out. Then we watched Beast. We both agreed, way better than we expected.
Yep, surprisingly.
It's kind of like a stuck in one place kind of horror movie where they're stuck in a car being stalked by lions, and a little bit of memories of the movie The Grey with Liam Neeson, mainly because in that he punches a wolf and in this he punches a lion.
Yeah.
So yeah. Idris is great in it. Charlton Copley is good, or Copley is good in it. Yeah,
it was much more real and grounded than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like just the arguments with all the characters, I was just like, this feels like real people are arguing with each other, and it's all improv. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And like they didn't try to go too over the top with a lion. It wasn't like a super large lion.
Yeah.
It was like a normal size lion.
It was a big boy, but it wasn't like a surprisingly
but like a believable
big boy.
Yeah. I mean, granted, wolves are bigger than people think they are too. So like the Grey, the wolves were relatively realistic in their size. But yeah, enjoyed that for the most part. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
I think I did somewhere around there too. Yeah. I forget.
Then for the 1001 movies, this is definitely the October episode of Cinema Bucket List. I rewatched Soul, which if any of you have listened to this episode, this podcast, when I first watched it, I do not terribly care for it. I think it's well made. I think it's got beautiful animation, but leaves a lot to be desired. So then I rewatched to fill in the desire that left. Rewatched 9 Days, which is somewhat about the same thing, which is about like spirits before they're born, kind of learning what it is to be human. And 9 Days is a lot better. Everyone should go check out 9 Days. It is not animated. It's live action, and it's fantastic. So check that out. That is not part of the 1001 movies you must see before you die, but I may or may not replace Soul with it in that list. So we'll find out. Spoilers for October. Then I watched 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We'll get into that in just a second. Then I watched The Omega Man, which is a 1971 movie based on the book I Am Legend, which, Will Smith's I Am Legend is also based on. From what I hear, this one is more faithful to the book. I have not read the book, so I cannot confirm or deny. I didn't care for this one that much. It had some interesting concepts. It had the idea that I think was missing in I Am Legend, unless you look at the original ending that was cut because people are stupid and said, "Oh, we don't want Will Smith to save people, or they're vampire." I forget what happened, but they changed the ending to be a terrible and Will Smith sacrificing himself. But essentially, the vampire zombie people have created their own society. And so Will Smith's character would have been like a huge terrorist to them, so they put him on trial. That happens in this, and that was pretty cool, but then the rest of it's just like, So
Yeah.
yeah. Then I rewatched Sorry to Bother You for the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. That will also be in the October episode. You can find out what I thought there. Then I rewatched Top Gun, also in the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, also the October episode. Find that out on Cinema Bucket List in October. Then today, with my boy, my son, I rewatched Zootopia because, just trying to watch different movies that don't have John Ratzenberger because I don't want him to overtake Paul Newman or Daniel Scheinert as my most watched actors this year. So I'm avoiding all Pixar movies
You got it.
that I haven't already watched this year until next year. So yeah, Zootopia, solid movie.
It is a really solid movie.
Yeah, but that is all I watched this week. I guess we could just get into 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I think so.
The most vivid scenes from the novel become unforgettable on the screen. The luxurious interior of the submarine. The revelation of the hidden mysteries of the deep.
We do our hunting and farming here.
Underwater?
The sea supplies all my wants.
The mighty harvests of the ocean kingdom. And the strange creatures that menace the intruders on the ocean floor. And after a safe return, the memorable dinner party.
It's remarkable. This tastes like veal.
The flavor deceives you. That is fillet of sea snake.
I guess this isn't lamb.
That is brisket of blowfish with sea squirt dressing, basted in barnacles.
What is it?
That's a recipe of my own. Sauté of unborn octopus.
And to stay in your memory as the most thrilling sequence ever photographed in motion picture history, the terrifying battle with the giant squid.
A ship sent to investigate a wave of mysterious sinkings encounters the advanced submarine, the Nautilus, commanded by Captain Nemo. We are not finding Nemo. He's already there.
Yep.
Directed by Richard Fleischer. I'm so sorry about that. Written by Earl Felton, based on the novel by Jules Verne. Starring Kirk Douglas, James Mason, Paul Lucas, and Peter Lorre. I'm fairly certain there is not a single speaking role for a woman in the entire movie. Except for unless you count Esmeralda the seal.
Yep. There was, I remember one in the beginning and then probably a couple cannibals.
There are two on each arm of Kirk Douglas in the beginning, but I don't think they say anything at all. So it's a sausage fest for sure.
There's a lot of
because I picked this because when I was a kid, I loved Jules Verne. I would say novels. I only know about this one. I love Jules Verne, H.G. Wells. Books like that with like kind of steampunk sci-fi genre. I was a kid, so I read the abridged versions. I haven't read the full versions, but I read the abridged versions, which are just shorter versions of the full versions. And I also remembered watching the squid attack scene at a Christmas party when I was like maybe 11 or 12 and thinking, wow, for the 50s, that's pretty cool. And I still kind of feel that way. It was pretty impressive for the 50s.
Did you quote me watching this movie?
Apparently I did. But I enjoyed this for the most part. I think it's a fun ride. It doesn't take itself as seriously as I thought it was going to. While also like being, from what I remember, staying faithful to the source material as much as I remember. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good ride.
I also thought it was a good ride. Speaking of good rides, did they adapt this into some sort of theme ride at Disney? I feel like they almost had to, right?
They did at Disneyland. I don't know if it's at Disney World, but at Disneyland they had a submarine ride that was based off of this, and you could like see the top of the submarine that you would ride in. And then they replaced it with a Finding Nemo. Oddly enough, a Finding Nemo ride.
Of course.
So I don't know. I'm sure someone has made that connection before. But yeah, they used to be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and then somewhere probably early 2000s they changed it to the submarine to Finding Nemo. Because they must kill everything that's old.
They have to. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was a good ride too. So when I started this movie up, I was trying to build my PC fast enough so I could record on there, but alas, I did not make it in time because I wanted to blow everything out. But yeah, I had this on while doing that, and genuinely, like, I was pretty attached to watching it while trying to build stuff. Like I kept like breaking my neck. I was like, spray like this air duster thing. Look to the right. Spray the air duster. Look to the right. What's going on? Oh my god, I gotta pay attention. Oh my god, it's just like everything like seemed genuinely interesting. And all the characters were a lot of fun to just interact with, especially Nemo. Ned Land was a little too American in a sense, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, he was too like frat boyish.
Yeah, too freedom fighter. It's like, I can't be chained.
I'd rather be in a little rowboat in the middle of the ocean than on the ship, where I might be restricted somewhat. But
I mean, other than that, I mean, I really had no qualms with this movie. It was genuinely it was wet and wild, shall I say? Dear Lord, I had a time.
Yes, it did. It's definitely got its restrictions because it was made in the 50s. Like obviously, going into this, we knew it was about a submarine. So when we first see the submarine, when they think it's a beast, we know it's a submarine. But I think it would have been cooler if they hid that more and like had it possibly more underwater for those who don't know exactly what it's about, maybe question the fact that it's not a submarine and might be a beast.
Yeah, because they show it pretty much right away.
Yeah,
like,
anyone that like can see the top of that would not think it's a beast. Granted, obviously, people in the late 1800s probably would because it was new technology and everything. But, for modern audiences, it would just as easily be like, oh, what? I know it's not like really supposed to be a twist thing. I just feel like it builds suspense more from a film standpoint for those who don't know what it's about.
If it did.
Yeah. And I think it visually would have been more cool to just see like the green eyes approaching from under the water. But yeah, I mean, everything from the sets to the stunts, even though some of the stunt doubles are very obvious at times, is all very impressive. It's a big scale movie for the 50s. And not that they were unheard of, but it's for the most part withstood the test of time. Like it's still, even though obviously it's all on a set, it's still believable to some extent. And I was expecting it to be somewhat faker at certain points. But obviously they filmed underwater some aspects because they had people in diving suits and walking on the floor of the probably a fake ocean, but an ocean of some kind.
Yeah, it's genuinely funny to see a movie that has some sort of special effects that are better than most 90s movies. Like when it was like a tiger shark or something like that was coming up to the divers, and then or to Ned and Conseil, I can't remember his name. Peter Lorre's character.
Yeah, I think Conseil is correct.
But and then like seeing it come up to them and you could tell like it's fake, but it looked more real than Jaws 2's shark slowly approaching without moving at all.
Jaws
or Jaws
3D.
3 at all.
Yeah. Not even moving its tail. It's just like, meh.
Yep. That was just genuinely like funny to notice that something 40 plus years in the past looked better than something 30 years ago now. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Even the squid was both really intriguing, the giant squid that they were fighting at a certain point. It was really intriguing to see what like kind of all, I don't know if it was animatronic, I assume it might have been, but seeing that and then like being like kind of taken aback, you're like, wow, that's really cool that they were able to do all that. And then you hear all the punching noises and you can't help but not to laugh your ass off a little bit of how calm you're like you hear like squid suck.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. It's so good looking, but it's so comical at the same time.
Yeah. I think the squid was not like, I think it was part animatronic but part puppet. I know animatronics are technically puppets, but like I don't think it was like electric at all. Just because it had to be in water, so it probably had some kind of pulley system or whatever. I'm looking at a picture of the behind the scenes right now, and I see like a bunch of strings going underwater to the squid. So my guess is that like it was rigged so like you would pull on something and an arm
like a
would
whole
move.
pulley system.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely crazy effects for the time. I mean, the Jules Verne, along with H.G. Wells, were both known for kind of being ahead of their time. Where with this, they talk about essentially the submarine is run on nuclear power, but it was before nuclear power was a thing. It was when it was written, not the movie, of course, just the book. But you know, with them, it takes a lot of guts when you don't have computers to make a movie that based on a book that was so ahead of its time, because that means you got to come up with things that were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really well made. It's the design of the submarine was really cool as well, because it does kind of look like some kind of weird sturgeon fish kind of thing from a distance, of course, and then you see the rivets. But it, I don't remember how it was described in the book, and I don't remember if it is supposed to look like that, but I think it was a cool design regardless. So yeah, it's just a really well-designed film, and really interesting. Peter Lorre is great in this. I didn't write down any of his funny moments, but he was like surprisingly funny, because he was kind of like the scared character the whole time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like a great addition. I don't think the movie would have been the same without him.
Oh, not in the slightest. Yeah, he was great, especially when him and Ned were kind of like committing mutiny, even though they were never really part of the crew. They're like, don't you go spying on me, and then punches him in the face. He's like, why'd you do that for?
That was a good Peter Lorre. That one didn't sound as Hispanic as the one you tried before we recorded.
Yeah, I dabble in many different languages.
You do,
know?
but that one was really good.
Is one of them. But yeah, his interactions with Ned were pretty funny, especially when they were trying to get off the boat. They were like, "We gotta get out of here, man." I said that one sounded worse, but still,
it still sounded more Peter Lorre than Hispanic. So yeah. But
yeah, I wish he had a little bit more. He did get a good chunk of screen time in the middle there, but I feel like it could have been more. But you know, I'm not saddened by how much he already was in it.
Yeah, but Kirk. I kind of wish Kirk Douglas's character was less of a comedic relief, because he also was kind of comedic in this. But his character wasn't as funny as Peter Lorre's. Like you said, just kind of, I don't want to use the word annoying, because he wasn't super annoying, but he definitely left a lot to be desired in his character. Kind of wish
he was just
more,
very gung ho.
Yeah,
and only knew 2 songs.
Yeah, only knew 2 songs,
drove
and he played
me nuts.
He played both of them. But yeah, I mean it's a very interesting movie. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. If you don't know what it's about, yeah, it's I don't really have too much to say about it,
Yeah,
other than I really enjoyed it.
It does have me a bit curious because I know this movie has been made a few times.
Yeah.
At least, from the novel or adapted from the novel. And I'm curious what the other ones are like because the one has Michael Caine. And if you got
Is
Michael
he Captain
Caine,
Nemo?
Is he Captain Nemo?
Let's find out.
Let's take a gander, shall we? Up, and it went right to the 1954. Oh, it was a TV movie. Interesting.
Ooh.
Jesus, the fucking ads. Today, the world we live in, with ads popping up like crazy, drives me nuts.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get free things without ads, so Michael Caine
I can't even find it anymore.
was Captain Nemo. Yeah, it was a looks like a mini-series 2-part movie. And Ned Land is in it, but I don't see what's his name? Cecil? Whatever Peter Lorre's character's name is. And I don't see the professor either. So I think they may have been either added to the 54 version or removed from this version.
Yeah.
Knowing how books were written in the 1800s, probably removed from this version because a lot of sci-fi books back then were written from like a third-party perspective, which would have been the professor. But, I think my biggest problem with the professor in this is that he was all about like the discoveries that Captain Nemo. He was a simp for the discoveries Captain Nemo had made. Oh no, okay. So the professor is in the other one, Pierre Aronnax. I forgot what his name was, but yeah, he was like. There's a point where they're like thinking they were going to die, and he goes, "Oh, it doesn't matter. The discoveries will live on." It was like, dude, people first, man. Like,
Yeah.
these discoveries will be made at a later date. It's not a huge deal if you lose these discoveries.
Yeah,
and I
there's
know
one
the
point where it's
Library
like-
of Alexandria and everything, but like, come on.
Yeah, there's a point where he's like, I can't get behind you. You're a murderer. And then he's like, well, those discoveries
Well,
do
those
be looking pretty
discoveries-
good.
he made a salsa out of octopus. Something. What? I don't know.
Yes, pudding.
Pudding, yes. No, it was. He did make what did he make the pudding out of? Was it like?
It was unborn squid or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Or
it was really
octopus.
weird. It's like, are these really the discoveries you're crazy about? I mean, I know it was more about
discoveries
the
I'm
ship.
craving about.
It was more
There was
more
one
crazy about
point
the
where he
ship,
said,
but-
yes, this is the milk from a giant sperm. And then he like briefly stopped for a second and then said, whale. I was like,
They honestly, for censorship back then, probably had to count the milliseconds between that to see if it would be censored or not. So I guarantee you that they probably paused for as long as they would be allowed to.
especially Kirk Douglas's face when he says it too. He's like, huh?
Oh yeah.
Like he heard sperm and then broke his neck. He's like, "Grr, whale.
Brr. Sperm whale. Yeah, I don't know if I'd drink milk from a sperm whale. And I know we drink milk. Well, I don't drink milk from cows anymore. I drink almond milk.
Almond
'Cause
milk do be pretty good.
I never liked cow milk anyway. Like I only drank it as a necessity for cereal. That's the only time I ever had it, and now I use almond milk for that. So yeah,
Look at you.
there's a little something. You learn something about me every single day.
Every day.
But yeah, I really like this. I think one other nitpick I had: James Mason as Captain Nemo. His performance was inconsistent, in my personal opinion. For the most part, it was good, but there were a few scenes where like he could have really sent it home, and just fell flat, in my opinion. But it's just nitpicking. It didn't detract from the movie at all. Just notes that I thought of. But yeah, I rather enjoyed it.
I did too. A lot more than I honestly expected because I know
I'm glad, because you were rather silent when I picked it last week.
it was because of the room. It was very, very hard to not be silent because it was just a loud echo. But yeah, I mean this was a movie that I've heard about throughout all of my years. And then eventually I know I had to get to, whether or not the movie or the book, I know they're both dramatically famous. And I mean, I definitely enjoyed this more than I thought it would. Especially with the Disney name above it, I was like, oh man, this could only go one of two ways, left or right.
And then they're going to make a ride of it that shut down the majority of the... I went on that ride one time when it was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then because my mom's family is from Southern California, so I went to Disneyland a lot as a kid, anytime I visited them pretty much. And literally out of maybe the 10 times I went, it was only running one time.
Yeah. That do be how they get you.
That do be how they get you. As I believe, was that Tupac Shakur said that?
I think he did. I think he briefly said it for a moment in time.
That's all I got to say.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. So that is our review for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That brings us to the judgment for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. As always, needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden and becomes a little shelf boy that sings a turtle and vertebrae-made ukulele song to a seal. It's a fever dream I had once. A sperm. I go first since I picked. Well, and this was my pick, so I get to go first. I really liked it. I think sci-fi movies are often overlooked, especially from the 50s. I think most people only look for like sci-fi horror, sci-fi action nowadays. This is a kind of, unfortunately, a genre that has gone away, which is sci-fi adventure. And I wish we would see more of that. So yeah, I think it would go on the shelf personally. I enjoyed it enough. I thought it was fun, based off of a classic novel, of course, and really lives up in today's world. Even like, yes, different effects for different times, but it's not too hokey.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say it also goes on the shelf. I think the special effects, they hold up.
Yeah.
And although they were a little bit comedic, I think they were still, punching an octopus and hearing the boxing sounds was great. All we were missing was a little ding, ding, ding. But I think it was a great movie. Definitely a great adventure as far as it goes. And I think Disney did pretty well for, the 1950s. And,
yes.
Yes. Now I have to watch Mary Poppins again because I don't remember what that's like at all.
Mary Poppins is another. Mary Poppins is another in a line of movies that my sisters watched too much when I was a kid, so now I can't stand them. Mary Poppins, Sound of Music, Grease. Can't stand
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all. So, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea does become a little shelf boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaid, and that brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Glenn's turn.
Yes.
To pick what we shall watch.
I went with a little goofy one. Ooh. You might love me. You might hate me.
Ooh.
I didn't really have too much time to pick one, so I picked one that I know I've been wanting to watch for years because I know it's this person's best film that I've never watched to this date. And now I hate to say his name because it is kind of a sin to say it. It's by director Michael Bay.
Oh, no.
Yes, for anybody who doesn't know, his best movie apparently is The Rock. This
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
So, The Rock, 1996, not Dwayne Johnson. A mild-mannered chemist and an ex-con must lead a counterstrike when a rogue group of military men, led by a renegade general, threaten a nerve gas attack from Alcatraz against San Francisco.
Following is a state secret, gentlemen. Disclose it to any party, and you will be subject to prosecution. His name is John Mason, British national, incarcerated on Alcatraz in 1962. Escaped in 63. There's no identity in the United States or Great Britain. He does not exist.
Secrets have a way of coming back to haunt you.
There's a hostage situation on Alcatraz. Hostage? 81 tourists. The Rock's a tourist attraction.
The one you train to defend you becomes your greatest threat.
A battery of VX gas rockets is presently deployed to deliver a highly lethal strike on the population of the San Francisco Bay Area.
And the one you abandon becomes your only hope.
You go talk to him.
Me?
Yeah.
Hiya. I'm an agent with the FBI. I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are. At least he got his name right.
Now, all that stands between a city and a disaster
The power of this chemical is way beyond anything you can imagine.
That's why you're coming with us.
is a man who's never seen combat.
You're a chemical freak.
I'm a chemical super freak, actually.
And another who's been out of action for 30 years.
Show us on the blueprints.
I can't. My blueprint was in my head.
Fortunately, some things you'll never forget.
But don't worry. It'll all come back to me.
This summer, get ready to rock.
Directed by Michael Bay, written by David Weisberg, Douglas Cook and Mark Rosner, stars Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, John Spencer, David Morse, William Forsythe, Michael Bain, and just a bunch of other people in there. But this is one that I have been wanting to watch for a while.
I'm surprised I've seen it and you haven't.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just one that went right under the radar.
I get that.
Especially, I did love me some Sean Connery, and Nicolas Cage was very popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
So how it escaped my grasp, because I've watched every other Nicolas Cage movie, basically, but this one.
Where can we find this movie?
Believe it or not, this is only on one platform, and that is the Roku channel, or whatever it's technically called. I think it's the Roku channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that is free for the most part. Yeah, free.
Yep.
Of
Everywhere
course,
else
with
it's rent.
ads. But hey, you know what? All you Gen Zers out there who don't remember what ads are, like, you can look away from them and don't have to watch them.
And believe it or not,
I
you can,
never understood why
turn and
people
bite
got
your
upset.
nails or something. Or
I never understood
you
why
wanna
people got upset about ads. Like, you're getting something for free, and you don't have to pay attention to the part that you don't like. Like, anyway,
The only spot I genuinely don't like ads is like on these like internet pages. Like Letterboxd has it now, IMDb. Just it pops it right in front of what you're doing, and that annoys the shit out of me.
That
If it was
is
to the
annoying.
side, it would be
Yeah.
fine.
that I agree with. You got to get a pop-up blocker for those, or ad blocker.
I do.
But yeah, The Rock has. All I will say, it has the best sequence with a train or a streetcar, and then I'll talk about that more next week.
Absolutely.
Yes. So The Rock is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Twitter, Keystone_film. Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch The Rock and see Nicolas Cage make a lot of bad jokes. And it's great.
Oh my
or not.
goodness,
or is it?
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.